songs are...
His own stuff
had,
now, finally.
He's always had great stuff, and he never had, I think, either the confidence to do it or whatever. I don't understand it because he's always written really good
Yeah,
stuff.
the other side of the cover guy. I mean, he's been in how many bands, playing cover tunes all along, but yet he's a secret songwriter, nobody knows it. And so now, he's finally doing his record, and when it's mixed, it's like a painting that you frame, and you sign, and you hang on the wall. That's the one.
It's a moment in time captured forever.
Yeah. That's it. There's your painting, it's done.
Hi, I'm Kevin Simnacher, and this is my new CD, just released in October of 2013. I'm really kind of proud of it.
Over the years, I've been in different cover bands and in a couple of originals bands. I'm gonna, do an album. I'm gonna do a solo album. I'm not gonna worry about band politics or anything. I'm just gonna do an album by myself. That means I'm gonna end up singing the songs and basically writing the material and choosing what's going to be on the album and everything, and promoting it myself. I think I'm at a maturity level now where I start to write about my observations and experiences in life. Writing and producing myself and recording and promoting my music.
The first 3 songs on the album were produced by Mark Pence, and when I started into this project, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. But Mark kind of helped me and steered me and got me started. So the first 3 songs were produced by Mark Pence, and he plays all of the instruments except for the guitars and the vocals, of course. And the story behind Illegal Alien. That happened. I was just going home after Harvey Headbanger Band practice, rehearsal, and stopped at this intersection, and here was this great big fireball. Okay, we're almost there. I was coming home from band practice one night. I stopped at this intersection, and right at this intersection at Sioux Lane and Edgewood, and right about there in the sky is where I saw this flaming fireball. It was coming at a trajectory, looked like very, very similar to what a small airplane would be. It was flying fairly low, but I saw it come from the west and then go towards the east, but it just wasn't, it didn't look like it was going to be easy for me to follow it. But I was really excited about it, and it just really freaked me out. I'd never seen anything like that before. Funny thing about the Illegal Alien song is that when I first brought it to the band, I was with Harvey Headbanger Band at the time, and I first brought it to the band for consideration for doing on our album, and they were all like horrified when they heard the lyrics, and I said, they go, "We can't do this song. Are you kidding?" And I'm looking at it, why not? They said, "Well, it's not politically correct. It's talking about illegal aliens." And I'm like, "Are you guys kidding? You guys, we're doing a bunch of cover songs with the F word in it, and you're afraid of, saying something about illegal aliens in your song? What's that all about?" Anyway, I finally convinced him to do it, and we had a lot of fun doing it. I mean, I don't know what the problem was. Nobody ever complained at any of our concerts.
And it's interesting that Mark was working on Illegal Alien one night, I don't know, about 11 o'clock at night. I was expecting to hear back from him. He was going to do a keyboard part or something and then send it to me over the internet. And I didn't hear from him, so I gave him a call, and turns out that he was hard at work, and this big branch came crashing through his roof right over his head, and about, I don't know, about a foot closer, and it would have gouged him in the back of the head. And thank God that he survived that. The guest vocalist on Gypsy Girl and Take Me Back, Christina Kramer, stepped in and did the honors on the backing vocals on those songs. So and she did great. Take Me Back was a song that ex-Harvey Headbanger bassist Dave Calhoun wrote the lyrics for. And he was on a motorcycle trip, and he just did this over and over in his mind until he got home, and then he wrote it down on paper. And he emailed the rest of the guys in the band when he got home, and he said, I came up with this song idea. I was wondering if you guys would want to maybe do it for our CD. And we'd have to work up some music for it. And so I was at home, and I printed out the lyrics that he sent, and I just picked up my acoustic guitar and just started playing around with a few chords, and a melody line came into my head. And so I thought, well, I got to get this down. So I went to my computer and got a demo down, just a real simple demo of me singing and playing the guitar. And I sent it to Dave, and he really liked it. You know, it was a little bit too easy listening for a Harvey Headbanger band to do on a CD, so we just kind of shelved it. But then when it was time for me to do my own CD, I thought, well, you know, this has got to be on there. You know? So that's how that all came about. And thanks to Dave for writing this song.
Take me back to a time when we were young. Take me back to a place where we had fun.
The song Gypsy Girl originated back when I was still playing in the Harvey Headbanger band. Actually recorded it on the Harvey Headbanger CD, and it's kind of a harder version. So when it came time to do my album, I decided, you know, I'm going to give this song another chance and try and, you know, make it a little bit softer around the edges and add some harmonies and whatnot. And so I decided to do it differently this time, and Producer Mark Pence added a really nice touch of doing some kind of ethnic rhythms on the rhythm track, and it really kind of made a nice mood for it. At one point he had a sound effect of like a gypsy woman wailing in the background, and after a while he kind of got spooked by it, and I said, well, you don't have to have that in there, so he took that out. Anyway, Christina Kramer also sang some backing vocals in this, and she added the little thing in the background, and I came up with the idea for the horse whinny in the background, which I thought was a nice touch. And anyway, it was kind of a fun little tune to do. So then I started in trying to learn how to produce my own stuff. I was already used to using GarageBand on the Mac, so I felt quite comfortable with that. One of the consultants over at Guitar Center said, I've heard some really great stuff being done with GarageBand. And so that gave me the confidence to go forward and use GarageBand on the Mac. And so that's what I did the rest of the album with. And I did all the guitars and sang, and I had a guest bass player come in, and songs 4 through 9, John Reardon's, another former Harvey Headbanger Band bass player, stepped in and helped out with the bass parts on those songs. This is a song that I originally wrote on a 12-string guitar back in must have been about 1980. It was right before the band guys decided that we should go west on tour. And I had my grocery store job, and I was working full-time in the summers in between going to art college. And I had this new Ovation 12-string guitar that I bought, and I would take it with me to work on my breaks. I would just play my guitar outdoors in the park next to the Fairway store where I worked. And I came up with this riff. And basically wrote the music part on one of my breaks from work, and we did play this song when I was with the Rattler Band, and it's kind of an experimental writing piece. It's kind of, at some parts it kind of sounds drug-induced almost, but I was still kind of experimenting with songwriting at the time, and we never recorded it. We played it in the band. When we went out on tour, we'd play probably about 25% of our material that wasn't covered material. We did originals, and we got by with doing that for a while. Well, we're here to talk today about a new song that I just released. It's called Johnny, and this was originally released back in about 1981-ish. The band I was with at the time was called Rattler.
The 5-member band hails from the Cedar Rapids area, but they play all across the Midwest. The basic nucleus of the band has been together about 4 years, but it's been in the past year that the band has really put their music and their finances together to make it work.
We spend probably $1,000 a month on gasoline just to get us to gigs, and that's the big expense. And then sometimes we get rooms with our jobs, and sometimes we don't. It's just the road is expensive, but for us, there was no other way we could do it, because, I mean, we've all worked the jobs, and the band on the weekend, and it just wasn't going to work that way for us. We weren't going to achieve our goals that we wanted to doing that. So we just decided we quit our jobs. Some of us had really good jobs, and we went on the road, and we've really been successful now. It's starting to really pick up.
Instruments and equipment are expensive, not to mention the cost of keeping 6 or 7 people in food and attire. But Rattler seems to be doing it, and doing it rather well. You can see Rattler at Leisure World in Kirksville this Friday and Saturday, playing nightly from 8 until 12.
And we did several studio demos of originals that we had planned to make it the big time with. And this was one of them. And it's co-written by Dan Boddicker.
Johnny comes marching, when Johnny comes marching, when Johnny comes marching, Johnny comes marching, when Johnny comes marching, Johnny comes marching home. When Johnny comes marching, when Johnny comes marching, when Johnny comes marching, Johnny comes marching, when Johnny comes marching, Johnny comes marching home. I just bought a new guitar. Well, it was a used guitar. And I was plinking around on it in the practice studio one night and started, I got this really good vibe from this new to me guitar and came up with this picking pattern. I thought, wow, that's kind of wrote music, or at least the guitar part, and brought it the next time we had rehearsal with the full band, and we started jamming on it, and Dan had a pad of paper and he just started writing lyrics, and it just flowed out of him, and before we knew it we had a song. He came up with this, well, why don't I do like a marching roll on the snare, and then Dan says, oh yeah, we could do When Johnny Comes Marching. I actually had 3-part harmonies on that chorus section on the original, but back in, and I decided to do redo the song on my own album. I decided, Dan Boddicker originally sang it, and he was, had a higher range than I did. I was always kind of a bass, and so I tried singing it, and I couldn't sing with the kind of power that the vocal required. And so I was thinking about it a few days, decided, well, maybe I'll just keep it in the original key, and that way I can sing it down a whole octave and do it in more of a Johnny Cash kind of a voice. So that's what I decided to do, and that's how it turned out this way. And the unique thing about this song is it's called Johnny, and I'm singing in my Johnny Cash voice, and I also had Johnny Reardons playing bass on it. So Okay, Sky is Falling came about. I had a list of different chord patterns that I had recorded over the last couple of years, just, you know, while I was just jamming and laying down some ideas. And this is kind of an interesting chord pattern. And then I could hear a violin doing the you know, kind of like, it kind of reminded me of a Kansas style riff. And so I kind of developed the song just kind of getting in the mode of, you know, listening to Kansas songs and what would Carrie Livgren write, or, you know, and that's how that kind of developed. I was trying to play the violin part and make it sound, you know, get it so it would track right on my guitar synth, and it wasn't cutting it. And so I had done some, had gone into the studio over at Mark Pence's with David Bozier to do an interview for KGAN about a song that we had collaborated on called Calling on Rich. It got on the news. And when David was escorting the reporter out to his car, I was discussing with Mark Pence. I said, you know, you've really got a great strings sound on your keyboard. How would you like to play the strings on this song, this next song I'm doing? And he was like, oh yeah, cool, let's do it. So when I finally got to the point where I needed to add his work, then I went over to his studio and we sat together, and I just kind of told him a little bit of kind of what I was thinking, and then all I had to do was say the word Kansas, and he was dialed in, and he came up with a really nice, you know, organ and violin, synth violin stuff on that song. It's just beautiful, and that was a really cool part of that song. And so anyway. The intro that I just played you, that actually came from when I used to be on tour with the Rattler Band back in about 1981-ish, or 82, or 83, somewhere in there. Anyway, I used to go out into the bus and I'd grab my acoustic guitar and I'd just be dinking around trying to think of some cool riffs that I could develop into an original song. And I came up with that, and it's like, I don't know it's not really a song, you know, so I just kind of tucked it away in my memory. And then years later, here it is, it's time for me to do my album, and I pulled that back out, and it's like, you know, that would make a cool intro. And I already had the chorus kind of figured out, because it was one of the songs that I was my backup that I was going to add to the Harvey Headbanger CD if we ever got that far. Well, we only ended up doing 8 songs. So I decided, well, I'm going to do this for my album project then. And so it was the air, fire, water, Gemma, furnace, daughter, spirit, take me closer, find out it's not over. And it just they just melded together. And so that's kind of how that came about. And then I was having kind of a mental writer's block during this song, trying to come up, you know, I had the choruses, I had the intro, I had the choruses, but I wasn't sure how to, you know, what to write, you know. It was just such a different kind of a supernatural kind of topic. And so I ended up bringing out my writing partners, they're kind of muses, my little bunny friends, my little furry bunnies, and I brought them out on the couch and sat down and we just kind of brainstormed together. And gradually, you know, I would come up with, you know, a phrase, and I'd look over at the bunnies and they'd kind of, you know, they'd kind of look like, or they'd be nodding, or their, you know, their little ears would be twitching. And that meant that it was a good lyric, so I'd keep it. And that's how I wrote 2 or 3 of my songs. I used the help of Brownie and Pumpkin, and then after Brownie passed away, then now Pumpkin is my main songwriting partner. So that's a little trick that I use. Well, that was part of the solo Air, Fire, Water, and I used this kind of fiery looking guitar on that one. Just thought it'd be appropriate to use that, since it is kind of looks kind of like flame top. Actually it's a quilt top, but it looks kind of like flames. This is kind of a cool. It's a carving guitar. I like carvings. Matter of fact, I used carving guitars on the entire album. The only guitar that wasn't a carving was my Alvarez acoustic 6-string guitar. All the rest were all carving guitars, and really like them. They're really easy to play and sound good. Great workmanship on them. They stay in tune great. I use a Floyd Rose whammy bar on most of them. It's like that's kind of a cool effect. Used sparingly, of course.
None of the good times I've had are gonna see me through. There's a change in the seasons, and it reminds me of you. Take a look on the inside and on the outside too. Don't look over your shoulder, it's a message to you.
what if you could have a time machine, and you could start working on a project, and then it gets close to the deadline, so you just move it back, you know, stuff like that. And you could go and you could have a vacation anytime you want, and then you could still come back and meet your deadline. So I always thought that would be kind of cool. Okay, here's another one of my carving guitars that I played almost exclusively on Time Machine, and it's a 24 fret carving with a Floyd whammy bar on it. It's a sweet guitar. Anyway, So anyway, played that on that song. I've got some other guitars also made by Carvin that I like to use. There's a verse that says, I'd get all of my work done and still have time to goof off with my friends. And so I had to include my little friends, my little furry friends, Pumpkin and Brownie, who had also helped me write Air, Fire, Water. And we hang out in the evenings and watch, watch movies together on the couch. And so I thought, well, I've got to include these two little furry pals because they don't live forever. They were, going on 9 years old at the time. Brownie has since passed away, and Pumpkin, she's going on 10 years old now. I wanted Brownie and Pumpkin to be in one of my videos, just to capture them for all time, because I knew that they wouldn't be around forever. We have one scene in the music video where we're sitting around the table playing cards. It's kind of like a takeoff on the poker game with all the dogs sitting around the table. Well, I decided to recreate that with the bunnies. I had to show one scene with Brownie and Pumpkin on the couch with me watching TV. We were watching the Hop movie, which was their favorite, the one about the little bunny that he doesn't want to be the Easter Bunny. He wants to travel the world and be in a rock band. And so that was one of their favorite movies. So one day I just woke up and said, it's time for me to do my album. And I hadn't really given it much thought, before that. I think there was something inside of me that just knew that there was something left to be done in my life. I had never done a solo album. I saw other people in the local area doing solo albums that thought, that would be so cool to have my own album out. And but it's like, who would I get to sing? Who would I get to sing on it? And I don't have a band of my own anymore. So one morning I woke up and decided, well, now it's time for me to do my album after all these years. And I don't know, the timing was just right. The internet's here. We have desktop tools that enable a person to be creative and without spending a lot of big bucks at a high-priced recording studio and having countless hours of interviewing band members to try and assemble a group and then rehearsing them before going in the studio. I saw that it was within my grasp finally that this was the time when I could actually do an album called Window of Opportunity, because it was indeed my window of opportunity. The time was right. All the tools were there. Plus, the years of maturity have made it so that I actually have something to say with my writing, which was beyond the party and love songs and things like that. I actually had real issues and life scenarios that I could write about at my age. And so Window of Opportunity was born. And one morning I woke up and another one of these waking states of mind, I just had this thing go through my mind. It said, nothing is static. The universe is in constant flux. Life is a series of windows of opportunity. Don't miss yours. And so I included that on my website and also in the Window of Opportunity song, which is number 9 song on the album. And I just felt very very clear that this was my chance to write a song about my life experiences and how life kind of drop kicks you and how you can recover from that. The drum tracks for most of the album were just drum loops that were pieced together after the music was already assembled, except for on Window of Opportunity song number 9. I decided to give it a shot and try and see what live drums would sound like. Mike Clare said, you ought to go into Rife's studio and have Eric Douglas record the drums for you live. And it's going to be killer. Von Leenen meant be in my living room for my interview to get into Harvey Headbanger. And he said, how do you feel about doing originals? And I said, oh, I've got a few right here. So I just pulled them up on the computer and I played through a few of the different guitar riffs that I had recorded and had in mind for doing a later album. And he was like, oh, that's cool, because we definitely want to do some originals. And so that's what kind of got me started on this again. When I turned age 50, I was in Harvey Headbanger, and we were writing and recording originals, and I was a happy camper at that aspect of it. So we got to open up for some national acts here in Cedar Rapids at First Avenue Live. And that was a blast. We got to play all of our originals, and that was a lot of fun. We did end up releasing a Harvey Headbanger CD. There it is, and it's me, Harvey, aka Rick Von Leenen, Wildcat Spratt, and Dave Calhoun, and that's what the back of the album looks like. That's the front. Anyway, you can still get these on Amazon.com, I believe, or CD Baby. And I had two of my originals on here. We did Boogeyman, which was my first one, and then Gypsy Girl. And here's the insert. Shows the picture of us guys rocking out. Anyway, that was kind of a fun project, but it was kind of a very small part of working in that band, and I wanted to do more. So I started writing more originals and deciding that I was going to do my own album. So that's how that happened. Here's another sweet guitar. It's my Carvin V220. It's a reissue from Carvin. This is the model that Craig Jaquiso from Starship used to play back in the 1980s. And I thought they were so cool I wanted to get one. So when they came out with the reissue, I bought one. And then I liked this one so well that I bought the white one. So I got a matching pair, kind of. And this is the guitar that I used when recording On Our Way to Jupiter. I had developed this little ditty, this intro. That was something I did to warm up all the time. This ended up being the intro to the last song, which is On Our Way to Jupiter, which is kind of a freewheeling, fun, travel song. Like if you're, like rolling down the highway, let it roll. Well, this is like the space age version, or the this is the new frontier, of course, is Jupiter, where NASA is sending out probes to Jupiter to check out the moons and beyond, and find out what's there, and see what kind of cool sights they can send pictures back of, and that's what kind of inspired the On Our Way to Jupiter song. And Eric did a great job. He's very much in demand. And so when it came time for me to record On Our Way to Jupiter, he wasn't available at that time, and I was really kind of anxious to get the album finished. And just so happened that Wildcat Spratt was just finishing up his album, and he had hired me to design the artwork on his album because he was ready to release it. And so we got together, and I said, well, hey, I really need a drummer to go into the studio live and play this last track with me. Are you game? And he rose to the occasion, and it was a lot of fun, getting back together with Wildcat in the studio, and he's a pretty fun guy, and a very amazing, talented drummer as well, and writer.
How you doing? I'm having a great time already. Living large, dig it, do it, live it, be it. Well,
All right.
I suppose we should just do this. Oh, I see. This pedal's just not on here. Should be no problem.
Wildcat, carefully adjust the drum kit
Hey,
before
how you
the session
doing?
begins.
This is my secret place.
Does have a secret space program, and you've heard of Area 51, of course, and that's where they keep all the flying, like saucers and things like that. There's Bob Lazar exposed that back in the 70s, and he was called in to reverse engineer one of the flying saucers that was downed in the Roswell incident. And the inside scoop is that they've got a whole fleet of these flying saucers. One of my old high school buddies, Scott Spina, plane mechanic or something, and he came home with stories about seeing flying saucers out on the base where he was located, and he was told just keep his mouth shut. So anyway, I think there's more than just speculation that they exist. I think they do exist. It's another one of these what if scenarios where it's like, well, wouldn't it be cool if you had access to one of their fleet and could take it on a joyride? And it's kind of like a fun till your daddy takes the T-bird away kind of a thing for this generation, I think. And so I hope you enjoyed the song. I had a lot of fun writing it with my co-writer, Pumpkin Bunny, and I hope you enjoy it. I plan on doing a music video for it soon. So if you haven't already, be sure and check out my new CD. It's called Window of Opportunity. And that's what the cover looks like. It is now available for download on bandcamp.com and also for digital downloads, or you can actually get the physical CD just like this from CD Baby. It's a neat little package. This may be the only CD, actual physical CD, that I ever put out in my entire career as a solo, just because of the technology and everything's going to digital downloads, and that's the new trend, and mobile devices. So get your CDs while you can still get them. Check out my ReverbNation.com site and my website www.kevinsimnacher.com, and lots of information there, tidbits and videos and pictures and story links of all my favorite places to go, the radio stations that are playing my music. It's on the links page. LKCB.com has been a great radio station on the internet. Also airplay.com and numberonemusic.com, arovine.com. I'm on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon MP3, SoundCloud, lots of places to be. And the internet can be a wonderful thing. So get your CDs while they still have CDs, before they're antiquated.